Good morning, Hallowed family. This is After Dawn, the show where we sit down and have a cup of coffee with the cast, crew, and creators behind the various shows at Hallowed Haven Studios Productions. I'm Solomon, and I'm not joined by Grizz this week because something foul has happened to him. Termite, you wouldn't happen to know anything about that, would you?
I can neither confirm nor deny. My lawyer won't let me.
Mm. But we are here to talk about Scion Episode 4, where not only was there another trip to yet another underworld, but there was a little bit of exploration about what all goes on with the Japanese pantheon and the Japanese underworld, a little bit more back and forth and bonding growing between the members of the band, and another run-in with a familiar antagonist. As such, I am joined by Gary, who plays Oliver Bright.
That's me.
And I'm joined by Termite, who plays Gwen Chambers.
Hello.
So good to have you both here. And Termite, welcome back to the show. It's been a little bit of a hot minute.
Yeah, you guys were finally free of me for like a month and a half.
Right?
But I'm back.
So, I would like to go ahead and start with a question to Termite. What's it like coming back and taking the role of, well, the antagonist again? I won't say the villain because there's way worse than Gwen out there, but Gwen's pretty bad.
Bold of you to assume I ever didn't have that role.
It's fair.
Even when I have been off screen, and even when the show has been off air, I always thinking, always ideas,
Always scheming.
always scheming.
She'll like send me computer viruses and be like, "Hey Gary, click this link." I'm like, "Well, hold on, you can't get me this time." After the first 6, I wisen up.
Yeah, I keep sending him things that I say are clips of him from After Dawn, but they're really not.
Yeah, she's preying on my vanity. Anytime there's like, it's like, "Here, Gary, a clip of you." I'm like, "Ooh, me."
Oh boy. But it is very fun to be back here, torturing people that are trying to save the world.
It certainly sounds like fun. So I have a question for Gary. This actually
Ooh, me.
this plays a little bit more into how Oliver has been talking to Clint. Oliver seems to be a little bit shorter with Clint than he is with Coda, even though they both kind of have that same chaotic energy.
Okay, I know exactly what you mean, and I know exactly what line you're talking about. And when I said that, I did not mean it to come out as like insulting as intended. It was supposed to just be kind of like, yeah, we've screwed up a few times, so let's be a bit smart about it this time. And it came out completely the wrong way. I did not
It
mean
came
it
out
that way.
I accidentally kicked a puppy.
I accidentally kicked the puppy. It was just I wasn't paying attention to where I was walking, and things just happened. So I did not intend to do that, and I felt bad for it. And I'll probably have to kind of give a better show of uh, showing that Oliver does appreciate Clint very much, because he does. He really does appreciate Clint and Coda, both for similar and different reasons. And I don't want it to come off as Oliver is just purely annoyed with them all the time, because he's really not.
Of course, I sort of thought it was interesting to also just maybe see that it was he's used to Coda's shenanigans, but this other individual that he's not. It's like you're a grown adult, act like it, sort of thing.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. But
Yeah,
I think Oliver also just sees like, yeah, Clint's just very like encouraging, good guy who he doesn't even think is capable of like anger or malice or anything like that. So it's like, yeah, he probably should not have been nearly as short as I accidentally had him come off across.
just accidentally kicked Clint right in the
Yeah,
dick.
yeah. And I think the reason I said that is because, like, in part, or at least in my head, it wasn't just Oliver going, "This is all your fault." It is that this is both of our faults. I didn't warn you like I should have. So he was like acknowledging that the blame was also on him. So when he said that, or when I had him say that, it didn't feel as if I was pointing right at him, being like, "It's all you," because it was like, to me it was both of them, but I didn't actually get that across in the line itself. So that's probably why it came off as quite so bad.
I get that. So, Termite, can you tell us a little bit about what Gwen's been up to, how she's doing, has she sought therapy? Because I believe in the last
Huh.
time we saw Gwen, we all agreed that she could use a lot of it.
Um. Yeah. No. No. Of course not. Why would she seek therapy? She doesn't need
God damn it.
therapy. She's perfectly mentally stable.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Just
I think
going down
it's
to talk to the god of the underworld to say, "Hey, maybe we should rebel against your purpose here."
I think that's the motto of every Scion. It's like, I am perfectly stable. You can trust me with weapons.
You can. I can be trusted with the
Yeah.
power to destroy the world.
Please
Yes.
give me sharp implements.
I can be trusted to speak to the embodiment of everyone that died in Hiroshima.
Ugh.
Yeah. That one that's rough, because when we got in, and then that guy is speaking to us like, "You are interlopers. You came here as trespassers." And it's like, "Hey, we weren't told anyone would be here, man. All right, we didn't know. I'm sorry.
No one even told us we
Sorry.
needed an invite.
No one told us we needed an invitation."
Honestly, that just seems to be the standard for the various pantheons. We're going to tell them what to do, but not how to do it or what they need to do it.
We're not gonna give you anything more than the bare minimum of to get it on your way. And it's
Yeah, I
like, well,
mean,
some
welcome
additional
to
information would have been helpful.
welcome to having to do labors.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
as for what Gwen's been up to, I'm not at liberty to say because BP might come in here and kick my ass.
Yeah,
We're
it
all
sounds about
friends
right.
here. You could just say it, you know.
Give us a little bit.
Yeah, like, I
Um,
won't tell anyone.
what I can say
Oh,
is nobody's gonna die by my hands next episode.
Oh boy.
oh,
That's somehow worse.
somehow scarier.
Yeah. So, Gary, I have a question for you in terms of sort of like how the group is set up and the mechanics of it.
Mhm.
Do you, or even just Oliver, sort of miss having anything in the group? Like, do you miss having someone who's a lot stronger, or a lot more intuitive to go along with you, or is there anything you think is missing from the band as a whole, or do you think you sort of round each other out fair?
I think from a personal level, Oliver misses his friends. He misses having like Chris and Sarah there, most certainly. But from another level, from a more kind of tactical perspective, Oliver is kind of taking the role of like tactician and strategist, and as a result, his whole thing is being like, okay, these are the tools I have. What can I do with them? So I think there's always going to be a moment where it's like, oh, I wish someone was capable of doing this or someone was capable of doing that. But from his eyes, it's very much like, well, I can't think like that. This is what I do have. So what can I do with it? From me as Gary, I like our group dynamic. I like the components that we got. I like how everyone plays into it. I think a fourth party member would help in certain scenarios, like when we fight a bunch of radioactive zombies that are really hard to kill and can hurt us really bad. Having a fourth person there could help soften some things, but that's not what we have, and that's fine. And I think it makes it much more intense and much more you got to think a lot more tactically when you have less people, and that's cool in its own right. I love that kind of stuff. So it's cool all around.
Each action and each actor is a lot more meaningful
Yeah, you
when you
really
have
got to think
less.
of that action economy, which is why I'm like, okay, I got this multitasking knack now. How much can I milk it for in combat? Where it's like, okay, so it lets me do like a secondary action without penalty. Can I calculate how to pull this building down at the same time as I tell Clint to go do that? And so yeah, you just really gotta get every single grain of economy can to really pull off the cool stuff.
The cool stuff that might upset the god that lives down there, but
Yeah,
that's
well,
gonna happen.
it's not our fault we started getting attacked by radioactive zombies.
Isn't it?
I mean, it kind of is. We did show up uninvited, but again, we didn't know we needed the invitation.
Shame.
Yeah, shame.
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 I have a question for Termite.
Yes.
Does Gwen miss Stefan, or is Stefan dead to her now?
Oh, he's dead to her.
That's a
That's
good
what I
question.
thought, but I also thought I would. I also figured I had to ask. Oh boy.
Yeah, let's just say there's a reason she hasn't been trying to kill the band.
Oh.
Ooh.
Uh-oh.
That's an uh-oh worthy of everything being in caps.
Yep. All caps, italicized, bold. Times
Uh-oh!
New Roman.
Times New Roman. Comic
Surrounded by
Sans.
wingdings.
Yeah. Surrounded by wingings. In parentheses. Quotated.
Now I have a question for Gary again. Does Oliver want to try to do something similar to how they did with Stefan with Gwen, or is or what does Oliver? How does Oliver want to handle the antagonist and the roadblock that is Gwen Chambers?
Oliver's a smart guy. He made the case last season to try to get both Stephanie and Gwen on board, and it became very clear through very many ways that Gwen was not going to bite that. And so he's probably not going to outright try to convince her to switch sides or anything. But Oliver's also not a very aggressive individual, clearly, so he's not immediately going to be like, all right, we got to kill Gwen right now. If it seems like that's the only way, he'll do it, but otherwise, he's more of a negotiator type character. He's going to see, like, how can we get out of this without having any violence, or how we can get out of this without having any sort of fight, be that from Gwen or the goddess that is very mad at us. And so he's going to try to talk his way out of the situation, but if that doesn't work, then if it comes down to fighting, then he's gonna do what he does and be like, all right, friends, here's how you're gonna fight. This is the way you should probably go do it.
If it comes down to it, would he himself throw hands?
It's funny you say that because I've been keeping track, and Oliver has still yet to actually make any sort of actual attack in combat so far, and I'm curious to see how long I can get away without having to do that, and just trying to bolster and support the people who can hit a lot harder than he can. But yeah, he's learning how to throw a punch. It's part of his geas. He has to learn how to fight a bit, but he's still kind of acknowledging the fact that these people are better at it than I am. So I'm going to try to bolster them instead of trying to lay into someone myself. So if he's truly backed into a corner, I think eventually he will do it himself. But until then, he's going to go with what he thinks is the most tactically good option, which is typically just being like, "Hey, Clint, throw your body at this support beam.
Just missile. Just turn yourself
Just
into a missile and
turn
just
yourself
throw
into a
yourself
human
at it.
missile, please." Yeah.
Fair enough. Alrighty. Do you think that Coda and Clint feel the same way? I figure that Clint doesn't really know Gwen, but do you think Coda feels the same way about how to deal with Gwen?
Hmm. I cannot speak for Coda, but I feel like knowing how she typically behaves, I would not be surprised if Coda was all for jumping at the first chance she gets to try to give Gwen a bit of a stabbing. But I couldn't say for sure.
It's fair.
You have no idea how badly I want somebody to try to fight her.
And that's why I think we should not try. I think we
Yeah,
should
that's
avoid it for as long as possible for that
poor
exact
choice. Yeah,
reason.
understandable. Understandable. What was? I wonder what Gwen's reaction was when the wolves she sent in Magmel just came back basically fucking empty-handed.
That's not a question for me.
Ooh.
Ooh.
I don't know if I'm allowed to say what the situation with that was.
Yeah, because I think it's very curious because I'm wondering what they were even doing there. In this case, we apparently see that Gwen had an audience with this goddess, and so there's a reason for her to be there. But with Magmel, there was just the wolves on the prowl there, so I'm like wondering why are they here? I think they were described as smaller than the ones that we had previously fought. So I'm
It's
wondering if
true.
that's a part of it. And I'm wondering if they're even like associated with Gwen. Maybe it's still on the same side as her, but under someone else's lieutenantship, I suppose. So yeah, I got a lot of questions rolling around in my brain about that.
Well, I mean, this is one of the places to ask them.
Yeah.
I am happy to open the floor to questions to go everywhere from turn.
Well, it's a sort of types of questions where it's like plot related. So clearly, I don't think I'm going to get any answers. But it's questions I'm asking of myself to keep track of and be like, let's see where this goes. Let's see how it plays out. If they can be answered, I'd love to hear them, but I don't think they will be.
Do you have
Uh,
any questions that can be answered?
yeah, I mean, if you have questions, feel free to ask them. I will answer them if I can. Otherwise, well,
Well, they're again just along the lines of like what the wolves were doing there in Mogbel and stuff. And like I said, I don't think you can answer those ones.
Yeah, I figured that you got to figure out for yourself.
Yep.
maybe I'll have to grill BP, or who knows? Maybe there are no answers.
Maybe they were just there on vacation.
We're just there on
Wolves can
vacation.
go on
Yeah,
vacation.
they just said, Scions. Let's go fuck with them for no reason.
Maybe it was their honeymoon. I don't know.
Uh, well, three, yeah, wolf thruple.
Yeah,
Weren't there three of them?
Yes,
but I
there
think there
were.
was three of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's to say that Tine Spawn can't also enjoy a nice vacation here and there?
Probably the Titans,
Yeah, I was
but
gonna say the
what do I
Titans
know?
probably.
It wasn't in like the very first season we saw like one Titan Spawn or something working as like a firefighter.
There was a fire giant. Fire giants are their own thing. Fire giants are fully sentient.
I see. Okay,
They aren't necessarily bound to a Titan.
I see.
They're still assholes though.
They can be, yeah.
Well, that one guy, he was a fireman. He was contributing to society. That or since he's a fire giant, doing something nefarious as a firefighter, which I hope not. Like that's a fucked up thing to do, Be a fireman and then show up and just accelerate the burning of buildings. That's messed up. Maybe we
Starting
should have done
fires to look
something
like a
about that.
hero.
Yeah. It's all about the little tail he's spinning for himself.
What is Oliver gonna do about Bram when Bram gets bigger?
I've been asking myself that. I'm like, how big is this thing gonna get? Is he? I don't know what to tell you. I was told that from someone, and I have it as a note that I should take him to Cartif at some point, and I don't know what that means or what that's gonna do for him. But eventually, yeah, this dragon's gonna get big, and I don't know how like fate will hide him at that point. I don't know how it's hiding him right now. I think people just see him as like a bird or something. And yeah, I don't know what to do about Bram once he gets big. I don't know how smart he's gonna get. I have a lot of questions about how this fun little dragon boy works.
So many questions and so few answers.
Yeah,
Unfortunate.
that's the life of Oliver Bright. That's a good question though, because I cannot answer it because I don't even know. Oliver doesn't know because I don't know.
Fair enough. So I'm going to go ahead and open it up to the spilling the tea segment. Do you all
Ooh.
have any questions for each other, or for me, or for any of our other players down the line?
Mm. I've already exhausted my aggressive complimentary question. I can't do
You
that
have
again.
indeed. We
Dang.
do have the
All right.
clarity.
Yeah, I already checked that box. I can't wait for to see their reaction to that episode because I'm just curious because I have not been able to watch it yet. But yeah,
I can go grab the sound clip. We can play it again though.
of me just asking the question, me being
Just
aggressively
you
yelling
being
into the
really
mic.
aggressive.
I think it's like label it as your rant.
Yes, it is
Gary's
labeled
rant.
as Gary's rant.
Yeah, I remember Termite sent it to me at one point.
Yep.
Yeah. How do you sleep? And Gary rants.
Yes.
How do you sleep at night? Yeah, ooh, okay. Questions for the group. I feel bad because I'm trying to come up for some for Termite, but I feel bad because you weren't there for that long of the episode, which I've expressed I felt bad about. So, uh, how did you feel about the few minutes that you were there for?
Oh, somebody's about to get stabbed.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's probably gonna be Coda because she's being, she's being
Aggressive.
Coda.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Coda's
it's
being
pretty
Coda currently, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was expressed when we finished the episode as well. It's like, yeah, you weren't there for that long, but when you were there for that little ending bit, it made for a very good ending, which
Yeah, very
I can
powerful
agree
ending.
with. Yeah, very powerful because it's like, oh,
Oh,
sticky situation.
I do
dude,
love that
great.
Gwen's not just someone who can stab you herself. She will convince others to stab you.
Yep.
Well, she does have. Hold on, let me go look at her sheet real quick.
Ooh, we're getting a look at the sheet.
We're getting a look at the sheet. She does have manipulation 4 and
That,
presence 4.
yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
She was a very successful prosecutor. Some might even say supernaturally so.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Yeah. I'll say I don't know if you did this intentionally or not, but I was noticing that when Gwen did appear, she came off as far more I don't want to say necessarily calm, but she was a bit more level-headed in her persuasions than when we saw her in season 1. So I was like, oh, development has happened here. Now I
Maybe
don't know how to interact with her anymore, which is another reason to be afraid.
maybe a little less feral.
Yeah,
At least outwardly.
at least
Yeah.
outwardly.
Well, she can't be, completely fucking insane when she's dealing with, um, people that aren't, directly opposed to her, and she's trying to get them onto her side.
Yeah, sometimes she's got to be the prosecutor again.
Yeah.
Hmm.
As opposed to the criminal.
As opposed to the. Well, that's what you want when you need a criminal lawyer. You need a criminal lawyer.
Yeah.
Um, I'll say I'm gonna ask a question to Gavin in a future episode. How does he feel about as Clint taking orders from Oliver when he says things like, "Hey, Clint, I need you to throw your body into that support beam," or things like that? Because it feels like he does it with just like full and total trust, like completely unquestionable trust in Oliver's. I wouldn't say opinion, but Oliver's tactics, and I'm just wondering like how far that actually goes.
Just the most gusto possible.
Yeah,
Like, no hesitation.
no hesitation whatsoever. He's just like, all right, if you say so, Oliver. Blam. So I'm curious about
Jeez.
his opinions on that. Yeah.
I'm curious. I'm curious how Gavin feels about, or Clint rather, in character, how he feels about Gwen. Uh, not now, but after the next episode.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Because yeah, it was interesting when we approached and Oliver and Cole were both like, "Oh, great, it's Gwen," and Clint was like, "Well, was she's someone bad?" And we're like, "Yeah," and he's like, "Oh, she doesn't look too bad. She
Yeah,
seems
she
all
seems
right."
nice.
And it's like, bro, you do not know what you were talking
Points, oh
about.
no, hot woman, because she does have appearance 5.
Yeah,
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 just the himbo.
that's him.
It's fine. Hopefully he'll realize his mistake next episode, and if he doesn't, then there's something fundamentally wrong with him.
I can fix her.
It's just, oh god, it's just too good natured.
Hmm.
Go along with that in a point you brought up earlier. I guess this would be a question for Sticker as well. Is like, how hard is Kodo holding back, just immediately going to try to stab Gwen if she is at all or feels the need to? Because Koda, she seems to be a bit, bit of a spitfire. Just kind of does what she feels right in the moment, kind of impulsive. So I'm wondering how much restraint she's putting in this particular situation. I'm just wondering how much restraint she needs to employ just generally as a Scion.
All of it.
Yeah. All
Because,
of it.
The amount,
like,
yes.
yeah, because she was like telling off Lou and shit for things going on there. It's like, whoa, this guy was kind of chill, but I see where you're coming from.
I see where you're coming from to
But,
relax.
ooh, just it's a civil conversation. We don't need to go this far.
Yeah, if that's how she talks to gods that like her, how's she gonna talk to the
Yeah,
gods that don't?
exactly. That's what I'm curious about. Especially when we need the gods that don't like us to at least like us a little bit enough to walk away with our lives.
Except for the Emperor. Fuck that guy.
Yeah, fuck the Yellow Emperor, man. Huang Di can go do bad things to himself.
Got him.
Got
Go
him.
suck an egg.
Boom. Yeah. Try coming back from that one, Huang Di. Burned.
And then he just like piles paperwork onto you and you suffocate.
God damn it. And I don't know if it was an intentional reference back to Chill the Office, but when I was reading the labor and it's like, and you need to make this essay in
In
triplicate, I was like,
triplicate.
not again! Not
Son of a
again!
bitch. Just getting
Gary,
Son of
PTSD.
a bitch!
Gary had a nickel for every time he had to he had to write something in
Something
triplicate for a
triplicate.
supernatural.
Cool.
You have 2 nickels.
Nickels.
Which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it's happened twice.
It really is.
How does Oliver feel about having to write this paper, especially since it was assigned by Huang Di?
Yeah, like on the one hand, he gets to write an essay, which he's very excited about. On the other hand, it was assigned by Huang Di, who he does not like. Um, Or I keep putting my distaste of Huang Di onto Oliver. He might not hate Huang Di that much, or at least not as much as I don't like him, but he probably dislikes him a little bit just from like the general conversation they had and the way Huang Di behaved and whatnot. But I've been mulling around something in my head where with the if I can get away with it and it won't hurt our chances for the labor, just do some like aggressive compliance where like I follow all the guidelines of the essay that has been provided for him. You know the novel size requirements he needs, but doing it in such a way that it's super aggravating to read, where it's like almost like a Pale Fire or House of Leaves, where he has like footnotes that lead to other footnotes that lead to like appendices that lead to footnotes that happen earlier in the essay that lead back to like a second appendices that then leads back to another footnote before you're allowed to continue reading the essay again or regular again, and just doing that all throughout the essay just to make it really annoying.
I
I'm
definitely think
mulling
you should
over
do
that
that.
would be a good idea or not.
I mean, as long
Um,
as you complete the labor, I think that you should.
Yeah,
I have no ulterior motives here. I don't think that's a good idea.
that's what I was thinking. Where it's like it would be funny and make Oliver feel good, but at the same time, it needs to be convincing. And
It'd be really funny for a
yeah.
whole 10 seconds before he himself gets turned into an essay.
Yeah. Yeah, don't listen to me. I always choose the flip off the asshole option.
I think it would be super, super great as a sort of like Oliver-esque passive way to stick it to the gods, but at the same time, it would probably hurt their chances of completing the labor. So as a result, he might not do it, or
Also,
probably won't.
Oliver doesn't really strike me as the stick it to the gods kind of person, even for somebody like Huang Di.
Yeah, he's going through some changes, but he's not going to outwardly tell a god off or anything like that.
He's gonna slide in insults in there like the bard.
Yeah, or it's gonna be, if he's going to do it, it's gonna be so subtle to the point where like no one but him is going to know that it's been done.
Or it'll be like a few days later, and then they're just like at their desk writing, and it's like, hey.
Hey, wait a minute.
Yeah, those are the best kinds of insults.
Oh yeah.
Is there any labor that you haven't been assigned yet that you are really dreading?
I
Like any
think
of the pantheons that you're dreading getting
yeah,
labor
yeah.
from?
I'm thinking the Greeks are notorious for pretty difficult, brutal labors. So I'm wondering how bad that one's gonna be. Um, I don't think we've been assigned the Egyptian labor yet either, so I'm concerned about that one. Definitely worried about what the Norse are going to make us do because
You
they're
don't.
the ones that. Do we
The
not have to do
whole
one for
the
them?
whole the whole agreement is that you don't have to do a labor for the Norse because they're
Okay,
the ones keeping Stefan prisoner.
gotcha. I thought that was the case, but I couldn't remember
Yeah.
for sure. And if it wasn't the case, and we did have to do one for them, I could imagine, yeah, they would just give us something so preposterous it's like not even possible, and it's like, well, this feels a little bit pointed.
Feels a little mean.
Yeah, it's a little bit rude. I don't know why we've what we've done to deserve this.
What about the Loa?
The Loa, I think I'm not too. I don't know a whole lot about the Loa mythology. I know bits and pieces here and there, uh, but I'm not too concerned from what I do know, and that's not a lot. I'm not concerned or worried about what they might make us do, but I think whatever they make us do will be interesting. It'll be probably something fun at the very least, or at least that's my hope.
What about the Aztecs?
That one's also uh, concerning because the Aztec they're very kind of like aggressive, brutal pantheon from what
Yeah,
I've
they're
read,
kind of like
and
they're kind
so
of like
yeah,
singular blood sacrifice.
yeah, they're gonna want us to do something pretty nasty, I think, which is gonna be interesting to see. That's gonna be rough. I have a feeling. What else we got? Is that everyone, or is there another one we're missing?
I think that's all of them.
Yeah, because you already. I was gonna say the Indian pantheon, but you already got the
Yeah,
labor from Ganesha.
we gotta make a
Vegetarian Texan barbecue.
yeah vegetarian Texas barbecue. And then we got Chinese Pantheon. We're doing the Japanese one right now. We already did the Tuatha. Um,
Twaha.
what's the Pantheon where we? Yeah, sorry. What's the Pantheon where we got to find that deed? Where that deed goes to? Which Pantheon is
That
that?
was
That's
for the
for the
Persians.
The
Persians.
Persians. Yeah,
Yeah, the
I
Asada.
keep forgetting their one in there. I need to look at them because they seem interesting.
They are. They're just not allowed.
Ah, I
I
see.
think they have their entire own uh,
Yeah,
supplements.
they do have their own
Okay.
supplement, and it explains why they're busted.
It's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
that's probably why I keep forgetting because I miss them in both the normal book and the companion book because they're not in there.
Yes.
That would make sense. Oh, I will ask though. I'm not sure if this can even be answered, but I know that termites, since you're behind the scenes, do you know all the labors already? And you're just being coy with me, or are you not aware of what they will be yet?
I mean, I'm not entirely sure. No, I know what they are.
Okay.
I
Okay.
know what all the labors are going to be.
I see. All right. All right. You're just taunting me then.
Yes.
Yep.
Entirely.
Naturally.
Well, I can't tell you what you have to do.
Oh yeah, of course. But you're sitting there being like, "Oh yeah, what about the Aztecs?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, what about the Aztecs?" When you fully know well know what the Aztecs are gonna have us do.
Uh-huh, I sure do.
Yep.
I was just curious. I was curious if you were worried about that, what they might have you do.
I'm very worried because yeah, they're very brutal people. We're probably gonna have to like kill someone or something.
I actually have another question for Gary.
Ooh.
I remember in the first season there was the idea of trying to get Teddy back from the underworld. Is that still a thought, or is that kind of like gone now because it's been so long?
I wouldn't say it's completely gone. I think a lot of it on why it hasn't come up so much is from like a player standpoint on my end because I know our player who did Teddy uh, kind of ended up having to step away because he had like a new job. Great for him, but couldn't make time for anymore. So I don't know if that's still a option on the table anymore. But if it is, I think Oliver would still jump at the chance to do it. But as time has gone on and things happen within the story, Oliver's going through changes where he's learning to accept that not everything that goes bad in his presence is his fault inherently, and that it's not always on him, and that he can accept when bad things happen and not feel as if it's all on his shoulders. He's going through a lot of changes, and as a result, I think he's learning to move past the grief he went through from Teddy. And I'd be interested where that develops further. So if it becomes an option again, uh, I think it'd be cool to still do. But if it doesn't, then I think there's still some development to be had when Oliver potentially eventually decides to let go of that phone he's still carrying around, because to him that's like a big kind of like icon of his failure, at least in his eyes.
Fair enough. I personally think there's nothing wrong with at least keeping a memento, but that's also an entirely different thing.
Yeah, Oliver should
Yeah,
keep checking Teddy's phone.
it's like dead at this point. I think I say that like he's not charging it, so it's
Plug it in!
fully dead. No, because like I agree. I think it's nothing wrong with keeping a memento, but for Oliver, that phone is not a memento. For him, it is quite literally like almost like a scar, like a constant reminder of like how he thinks he screwed up or how it should have been him instead. And until he learns to like let go of that, it's always going to be some like baggage and some weight on his shoulders.
Is he ever going to go talk to Teddy's kid?
Uh, I would love to see where that goes. If that becomes like an option, or if we have some like downtime and I can put that down, I would really like to do that. I think it might be super interesting, and especially when it comes to like Oliver's GS, because once he fully maxes out that brawl skill, he's supposed to once a week train someone else in it as well. So if like something in the story, like maybe the kid's having trouble at school with bullies or something, and Oliver has to, like trainer to stick up for herself. I think that could be a cool kind of like a little subplot there, or way to continue Oliver's GS. I think there's a lot of cool ways that can go. So I would really enjoy uh, meeting or visiting Teddy's family again. I think that would be super cool.
Most teachers will tell you to get an adult. Oliver tells you to
Yeah.
knuckle up.
Yeah,
Or yeah,
go.
well, I think Oliver would not be like first straight up be like, okay, so here's how you're gonna fight him. I think he's gonna be like, here's the options you should do first. Here's how you should handle your situation initially. And if that does not work, sometimes the only thing you can do is defend yourself physically. And I'm gonna teach you how to do that so that they can't hurt you. And that would be his mindset.
Teach a child how to murder a person.
Yeah, not murder, but just like defend themselves.
Leave intense psychological scars.
To the
Yeah,
point that Oliver has to teach them, no, it's murder.
yeah.
Yeah.
You're going to murder them emotionally. You're going to ruin their ego.
Induce ego death.
Yes.
Oliver. This lesson brought to you by Oliver through Nietzsche.
Oliver martial arts training.
It's like some exalted shit, like exalted martial arts that focus on like persuasion or whatever.
Mm. I do not know the next thing about Exalted, but I'll take your word for that.
Yeah, that like one of those martial arts for exalted is literally just like singing or shouting someone to death.
Oh, nice. That's cool.
Yeah, it has a lot of fun stuff in there
Wow.
like that.
Dragonborn.
But
Oh,
with opera.
but with opera.
Overly dramatic Dragonborn.
Yeah, there it is.
There we go, yeah.
All right. Does anyone else have any other questions for anyone here or down the line?
Mm. Nothing comes to mind for me anymore. I think I've espoused some of the questions I had for other people, at least for the time being.
Yeah, I'm good for now.
Alrighty, in that case, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up there. Thank you all so much for listening. These episodes are released on Thursdays for the $5 plus tier on our Patreon. So think about becoming a patron so you can keep up to date with your Hallowed Haven talk news, because otherwise you're going to have to wait a month for them to come out for the public. I'm Solomon. Farewell, everyone.